Carmentary, my friends! I'm back with another one. I recorded and uploaded a Carmentary this morning, and then some new news came in, and now I have to do an update on that same story. So this is about the Lawson convenience store near Mount Fuji that was being affected by the over-tourism. Over-tourism. We should come up with a song. So Japan is reeling from the effects of over-tourism. The news stories are just popping off. So my wife showed me another news report, and it was about that Lawson. So they built this big screen behind the Lawson that ruined the view. And what happened? All the tourists drove a little ways down the road and found another Lawson with a view that's pretty much the same. And they all started congregating in that parking lot and taking pictures just like they were before. And so they actually showed like the scene of what it's like at this Lawson where everybody is there to take photos. There was a couple taking a wedding photo. A wedding photo in front of a Lawson convenience store with Mount Fuji in the background. Full wedding dress, tuxedo, and everything. Maybe you don't know about this, but it's a cultural kind of phenomenon in China, and maybe Hong Kong too, I'm not sure. Maybe Taiwan too, I don't know exactly, but we get a lot of wedding tourists. These are people who have either already had their official wedding or are going to be having an official wedding soon. And apparently it's a cultural thing to like take a trip, go to some other country or several other countries, bring the tuxedo and the wedding dress, the whole garb, put that on, take all these photos in all these kind of cool, unique, locations, put that together into a book, and then I think the book is given away as a present to relatives and friends and such. So it's kind of like a little bit of a status symbol, I would guess. Like, well, we got married and we went to Africa. We got married and we went to Japan, And I've seen people in the strangest places in full wedding gear with a photographer. Usually they'll hire someone local. Some, if you're rich enough, you could bring your own photographer with you. I think there are agencies and services that cater specifically to Chinese tourists for that exact reason, to go do the weddings, service photography. We'll take you to the lavender fields, we'll take you to this spot, that. Anyway, so there was someone doing that in front of this Lawson. Now, in the TV report, I gotta admit, it was kind of mayhem. There were just maybe 50 people, all foreign tourists, milling around in the parking lot of this convenience store. And you've got cars coming in, going out, trying to park, and someone's just trying to buy a pack of cigarettes or a rice ball or whatever. And it's like you couldn't even get in or out of the parking lot because there were so many people. So I understand the frustration with that for the store, for the locals, for the person who is just like, hey, I'm hungry, I need a rice ball. It's a weird one, but it just proves my point in the last video. It's it's so stupid that you're going to build this screen to block the view. People are just going to go down the road and find another view. It's going to be it's like that whack-a-mole game. You're just smashing one down and another one pops up. So there was that story, and then they added on another little story, another little issue, and this was about theft. Foreign tourists stealing amenities from local hotels. I'm not sure, they interviewed one hotel manager or owner. It was a typical kind of onsen, hot springs, Japanese ryokan style place. It's got a bath that everyone who stays in the hotel can go and use. And this particular hotel, they had like a shelf with a whole bunch of different brands of soaps and body wash and shampoo and conditioner. And in Japan, they like to sell and provide these liquid gel type soaps and shampoos in these kind of pretty big bottles. They're more than 500 milliliters. They're pretty good size, bottles. They last a while, especially in an onsen that's, it's got to see a lot of use, and you don't want to have to be changing the bottle every time. Apparently, tourists are literally stealing the shampoo bottles out of the onsens. I think it's pretty common if in your room you're supplied with those little tiny shampoo bottles. You got a toothbrush, maybe a shaver or shaving cream, some simple little things. They're usually little one-time use bottles. Ooh, hold on, folks. I gotta take a call. Moshi moshi. Moshi moshi.
もしもし。
はいはい、今ね、
今、
降りた？
降りてきた。
あと10分ぐらいで着く。
はい、了解しました。
はーい。
バイバイ。
Bye. Oh, sorry. That was my daughter. I'm on the way to pick her up. I love my new car. You can just tap the screen and take a call. High tech. So anyway, the tourists are stealing these big conditioners, shampoo bottles. And as I was saying, it's kind of understandable that you would, take the small amenity bottles from your room. I think that was pretty common. But in Japan, no one goes around stealing these large bottles that are for use for everyone. So they were talking about that, and then they actually showed a video from some social media site. Maybe it was TikTok, Instagram, I don't know. And it was actually someone who was taking everything in the room, including those large bottles of body wash and shampoo, slippers, just putting everything in their bag, and they were filming it, and they were actually talking about it and saying, I'm taking everything from the room, kind of bragging, I don't know. So in Japan, when these news stories come up about tourists causing trouble and tourists throwing away garbage, tourists stealing shampoo, 99% of the time they either blatantly call it out as being Chinese tourists, or they will do something like that where they'll show a video that's, you can hear the voice and it's someone speaking in Chinese, and they don't come out and say Chinese people are stealing shampoo bottles. A little too direct. They say foreign tourists are doing these kind of things, and here's an example. And the example is generally Chinese tourists. So there's a little bit of animosity and friction going on there. I just thought it was kind of interesting and humorous to see how big of a problem this over-tourism has become. I will be doing many more updates on this particular subject. Just one final note in closing. I had a meeting yesterday, and it was quite interesting as well. Can't really talk about what the meeting was really for, but it was a group of hotel owners getting together for a chat from here in Hokkaido, different cities, and I happened to be in on this meeting, and a large part of the conversation was covering this over-tourism. The word came up several times. Over-tourism, and the other hot keyword right now is shortage of workers, or just shortage of people. Declining birth rate in Japan has now become like priority number one. It's hitting everybody pretty much evenly, no matter what the industry is, whether it's construction, service industry, restaurant, hotel. Service industry may almost be getting it a little worse than other industries because I don't know, if you like that kind of stuff, it can be a lot of fun. But I do think a lot of people might go to work for a hotel and not find it a lot of fun. It's pretty hard work. It's pretty demanding. The pay in the past has not been that good. But now they were telling stories about hotels, like new hotels opening up. And there was a hotel here in our little village that opened up. It opened up a year late. I thought they were just taking their time with the construction and the interior design and whatnot. Apparently that was not the case. They delayed their opening for a full year because they could not get enough staff. They couldn't hire people. This was at the tail end of the pandemic here in Japan, so there may have been some effects from that. Just not a lot of people wanting to go back to work. But it took them a full year to get the staff they need to open up this hotel. I think that is pretty crazy. And they were offering really good hourly wages. High, well above minimum wage. And even that was not bringing in people. So right now, it's not a case of, is the salary right or is the salary good? Even a high-paying hourly wage, it's not going to bring in the people you want because there just aren't enough people. The hotel industry, service industry, anything that deals with tourists may also kind of be affected by all this bad news about tourism on TV. All these stories about over-tourism and tourists being rude and not having the right manners. And, every time you see a story like that, you do kind of get affected by it, and you're like, oh man, I don't want to have to deal with these tourists, It sounds like a real pain in the ass. And then if you see, a position at a local hotel, you're like, I don't want to deal with all that crap. Let me go find something else. So there are a lot of angles to think about this. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a very regular Carmentary topic here on the podcast. If you hear of any interesting news stories or see anything that you think I should check out, please send me a link or drop me a comment. I appreciate it as always. Remember, drive safe.